This $59 MIDI controller is exactly what I wanted. It is the Arturia MicroLab mk3. Let's talk about it right after today's patron shoutout, which goes to Healersaurus. Thank you so very much for the support. Now, let's get started. By the way, Arturia did send this over to me for no cost, but I actually reached out to them and asked if they'd be willing to do so, and no money changed hands or anything like that. So the entire reason that I wanted to get my hands on the MicroLab mk3 was because of its weight, dimensions, and USB Type-C port. I'm not going to sugarcoat this video and pretend that this controller is something that it's not because, well, it just isn't. It's a super bare bones $59 velocity sensitive 25 key MIDI controller that comes in just under 16 inches by 5 inches. It weighs 1.36 pounds. Seriously, this thing is like crazy light. It's got a Type-C port on the back, a sustain pedal jack. It's got pitch and mod strips, and that's about it. I guess it does also come bundled with Ableton Live Lite and Analog Lab Intro, if you're wondering, but this video is not about that. And just so you can get a better idea of the actual size of this thing here, let's zoom out, and whoop, there's my keyboard and my power strip and all that. Yeah, anyway, here it is compared to the original key step. So as you can see, it's it's absolutely tiny, and it weighs less than half of the key step. And this is already a pretty small controller. So yeah, this thing is tiny and extremely lightweight. Anyway, I had been using the Arturia key step that I just showed you as the main controller for, well, basically all iterations of my live rig over the past couple of years. But as of the latest version of that rig, I found that it no longer fit on the stand with my newly added Roland MC707. So I started looking for even smaller keyboard controllers, and lo and behold, the very next day, Arturia released the MicroLab mk3. I did some quick measuring to make sure it would fit, and then I immediately reached out to Arturia about getting my hands on one, and yeah, it fits perfectly, so that's awesome. However, we are not going to talk about the live rig in this video anymore. Instead, the tiny size and weight of the MicroLab mk3 inspired me to see what else I could pair it with in my studio, and I began to realize just how handy this was going to make my life. There are so many instances where I'm trying to work with a piece of gear, either for making a video or just making music, and I stop and think, you know, this would be so much easier with a MIDI controller. Then I realized that I don't have room on the desk because it's pretty cramped, or that I'd have to at least run a power cable and a 5-pin MIDI cable, take the time to set that up. I'm not sure if you know this, but I can't stand having extra cables all over the place. Like I said, this is a pretty cramped environment here. So the MicroLab does solve this issue. And at this point, I would like to state that yes, I recognize there are other small, lightweight MIDI controllers out there, but I haven't found many that actually use USB Type-C, and none of them were the exact size for my needs, whereas the MicroLab mk3 was. Anyway, with the rapidly increasing amount of gear out there that uses USB Type-C for MIDI, or even includes a Type-A jack to act as a MIDI host, the MicroLab has a lot of partners. Let's go over two setups that are completely standalone and don't even require wall power to function. First up, we've got the classic Freebeat setup, the OPZ, and an Arturia controller. At the very beginning of the channel, I used a very similar setup to this, using a micro USB to Type-C cable to control the OPZ with my full-size Arturia key step. Now that setup becomes even more compact and convenient thanks to the MicroLab. All this cable right here is doing is connecting it to my USB audio interface. For MIDI, all I have, seriously, is just one cable, and let's set this to channel 6 here. And as you can hear, hopefully anyway, that sound's coming out of the OPZ's speaker, but yeah, the MicroLab is controlling it. The OPZ is about to die because I never really use it anymore. But let's have a quick jam. Who knows, maybe we have enough battery to actually record it. Let's give it a shot. Yeah, cool. This is a great setup, and if you plugged headphones into this, just completely portable. And now we move on to my favorite setup, which is the Ableton Move and the MicroLab. The Move has become my favorite piece of electronic music gear ever, and being able to so easily pair it with a lightweight and tiny MIDI controller makes it even better. Both of these pieces easily fit into a backpack, and thanks to the Move being able to export sets fully into Ableton, I really feel like I have the most powerful song starting, I guess we can call it, setup with these two pieces. I'll absolutely be making more content featuring this setup in the future. It's just that good in my opinion. And just like the OPZ setup, we are just pretty much using one cable here. That was for my audio interface, and this is just type C to type A because the Move actually has a type A jack in the back. But you could very easily plug your headphones into that, or, I don't know if you can hear that, you can just use the built-in speaker on the Move as well. So no, the MicroLab Mk3 isn't anything to write home about, but that actually might be its greatest selling point. If you simply want to easily add keys to a USB MIDI-enabled synth or groovebox using the convenience of USB Type-C without any mess or fuss, you're gonna have a hard time beating this thing for just $59 US, and that is exactly what I wanted. So I do hope you found this video informative or at least entertaining. If you did, be sure to hit that like button. If not, you can always hit the dislike button. Doesn't hurt my feelings, just makes me try that much harder next time. Either way, be sure to hit that subscribe button though, ring that notification bell. Thank you all so very much for being here. Thanks for watching. We'll see you next time. Bye.